Recorded. Good thing I asked that before I start recording. Make sure that if you're done early, put it in the middle of your desk so I can collect it during exit tickets. Awkward question. I just want to know. Got 10 seconds and your notebook needs to be open. Yes, ma'am. Sydney, please hit the big button. All right, in the middle. I'm gonna do something different from last year because the online kids don't get the do nows. The do nows, one, you have to show your work, and two, if you do a better job than your exit ticket, it will replace your grade for the exit ticket. So always make sure that you're paying attention and working hard. All right, today we're talking about lesson 61. So make sure you got a note page open and ready to go. With lesson 61 on top. It's called area of a parallelogram. I like saying it that way because there's a lot of L's in it, but it's parallelogram. Everyone say that word. Parallelogram. Thank you so much. And our I can statement for the day, so listen to me once, then I'm going to have you repeat after me. I can identify the area of a parallelogram. All right, class? I can identify the area of a parallelogram. Who can tell me what area is? Natalie? Okay, length times width times height. That's a formula to find an area of something. Taylor?
Is all numbers multiplied?
No. Think about it. If I were to say you're inside the area right now of this classroom, what does that mean? Sydney? Yes, but Braylon?
Like squared or something?
Wow, this is really hard. You're, Taylor?
The middle?
Yeah, middle. That's what I was looking for. The middle. The area is the middle area. How much you can fit. Because there's a difference between perimeter and area. Area is what's on the inside. So think about if I had, for instance, like my girlfriend, she sells books. She has an online bookstore. Her apartment is full of books. I could do some math and find out how much area of the inside of her apartment those books take up. It's a lot. Really annoying. As far as your dog doesn't pee on all the time. Anyway, then perimeter, like in military movies, is out the outside. So like they say, walk the perimeter, you're walking the outside of the area. So if I said walk the perimeter of the classroom, you would be hugging the wall. If I said stand in the area, you would be somewhere in the middle. Peach? That's very important for today's lesson. We're going to skip this for today. I think we're going to start doing these next week. I want to get you guys used to going through lessons and taking notes. All right, example 1. Who can read that for the class with that big fancy word? Go ahead, Leah, nice and loud.
Parallelogram part is a small circuit town with the dimensions shown. Find A, the perimeter of the park, and B, its area.
All right. First of all, whatever town has the name Parallelogram Park, I'm going to move there. So I can say Parallelogram Park all day long. That would just be a lot of fun. Second, sorry, I'm writing down who's online. Thank you for your patience. We just found out. So who can remind the class how to find the perimeter? I always think that perimeter is super easy because it's just this. We just talked about it. Sarah.
Add
Yes. Add what though?
the number.
Which numbers though? Like the numbers on the inside, the outside, left, right, up, down, Zaria? Right. Remember, like I said, if I said walk the perimeter, you would hug the wall and walk against the wall, which would look weird. But yes, that's what a perimeter is, the outside. So if we're going to add all these together, it would be 80 plus 50, and then that's it, right?
No.
What am I missing? Cherish? Not the answer, Braylon.
The other numbers.
Right. Just because they're not showing does not mean you have to add them. So, because there's 4 side lengths, all right? There's 4, so you should have 4 numbers to add. It's very important. Just don't add the numbers you see, but those just represent the whole. That's like saying, when you guys do rock, paper, scissors for a tie in the flat, you don't all go out there, do you? You just send one represent. So that's what these are. This represents both sides. This represents both sides. Just like if you get into politics, the leader you vote for who goes over to Washington should represent everyone in your state. We don't send everyone to the state because we send one dude or a couple dudes or girls can be in politics too, to represent everybody. Lay out. Yeah, go ahead.
260.
Correct.
630.
Yards. Labeling is super important. Careful with the voice. I know I'm fun, but I don't want you talking out of turn. I gave you guys a little bit of a break being virtual because I can't like stand over you and watch you, but make sure that you have labels now because then I'm going to start taking off. During online, the only label I did not give down marks on or gave down marks on is if you didn't have the dollar sign. But now since you're in school and you're having all these expectations, you have study hall, you have Mr. Hahn to help, or Miss Husband to help all this time, you should have the labels. All right, area. How will we find the area of this shape? Taylor? No. Lawrence? Yes, length times width. There's 4 sides. It's a quadrilateral, a weird quadrilateral, not a regular quadrilateral. So you're going to take 50. No, wait a second. Let's just do it and see if we're right. Because Matt, sometimes you think it's simple, but it's not. I kind of feel like it's not going to be this simple. Because there's a hidden number in there. We're gonna have to figure that out. But let's just go through it. 50 times 80, what would the answer be?
400.
400. All right. You have 4 seconds to copy that down. Oh, also important, yard. And since we're in area, we're talking about how many people you can take up on a square. So if we really want to do this and see how many square feet we have in this classroom, I would get everybody I know in this school to stand on 1 square block. And then there you go. That's how we would find it. So you have to have this 2 above the yard per square. If you don't have that 2, it's not area. Because yard square, because you're talking about the square feet of the inside, not the perimeter, which is a solid length. We're talking about square. Okay, Bish? All right, I'm going to erase this. Let's see if we did. I'm positive we did the first one right. There we go. We got 260 yards. Great. Let's see if we did B right. 80 times 40. Oh, man, we messed up. We weren't supposed to take base times length. We're supposed to take base times height. All right, so in your notes, you can circle what you did before, cross it out with an X to remind you, and then write down and copy this. All right. If you want to be super extra, which I would love to see when I grade your notebooks, you can also draw the shape from the problem. That would be super great. Not a requirement, but if you want to be extra, That's the one way I would enjoy you being an extra person. Because I'm a lit teacher. I'm just on fire. I'm 100 emoji. 100% of the time. I don't throw shade or tea. No, I don't throw shade, but I know all the tea. Because it keeps being spilled. You're right. I like how you did that. You're right. I circled both of them. Put an X by one of them, and then put a check mark for the other. Show which one you should look at and which one you should not look at. I like that. Very clear and concise. All right. Moving on. Example 2. Make sure you got that somewhere. This kind of things for me growing up was kind of fun because it's like a puzzle you got to find, but at the same time, it's one of the more difficult things I've ever had to learn. Because when you get to college or high school, when you take geometry class, you're gonna have to deal a lot with angles and measurements and degrees. If you go to college for something with math, I'll make you take a geometry course, and there will be a lot of angles and math and degrees, shapes. So you gotta be paying attention because I don't want you to get into these classes and then fail because you didn't know how to find the degree. All right, usually with these shapes, they are always going to be 360. Usually. If it's not 360, it will say it. But if you don't know, if you read the problem, it says degrees out of something, you're going to have to say, just use 360. Make sure you show your math because that's what it is. But usually the problem would tell you the total. If it doesn't, it should equal 360. Which means everything on the inside here, which makes sense, right? Because if you stand in the middle of the classroom, you go all the way around, you just did a 360. Not a 180, not a 90. Makes sense, right? So that means every single angle from A, B, and C, when you get to the final answer, you should add them all up, and they should equal 360. Capiche? So the only one we know, though, which one's the only one we know? Destiny? Which is the only angle we know in that shape? One more time, nice and loud.
D.
One more time.
D.
You say B?
D.
D. What is it, honey?
110.
Correct. It is 110. Based on that information, what can we assume of one of the angles? Think of it kind of like a mirror. If you look in the mirror, you see your exact, image. Unless, well, actually, that's not true. The mirror, apparently, your brain makes you look better than you actually do. So every time you look at yourself in the mirror, you can say liar. Anyway, I don't know if that's true. I just read that in a science journal. But anyway, which one can you assume you already know the angle for? Taylor?
A.
Not A. Remember, think about a mirror. You gotta be in front of the mirror for it to work. Cherish?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and since we're also dealing with that mirror image, Sarah, if B is the mirror image of D, what is the degree? If it's the mirror image, what would D be, or what would be B be? B.
220.
Cut that in half. What the heck was that? You right? Right. Sarah, you are right, but you're just thinking too much. So B is 110 degrees. Now, Sarah's right. You put those two together, you get 220. So what does that mean for A and C? How will we find A and C? They're not mirror images. They are of each other. So whatever we find for A will also be for C. Taylor?
How many degrees the A is?
Sorry, what?
How many
Yeah, that's what we're looking for.
But we gotta figure out what angle it is.
Yep. Gotta find A and C. All you know for so far. So think of this as like a, who here likes, I don't know if I should mention this in class, but like murder mysteries, like crime shows, all that stuff. You guys like that stuff? I grew up watching Law and Order. I love Law and Order. Anyway, or like I do like mystery anime. It's fun. I like to think about it. So think of yourself as a detective. Put your detective head on. Get your magnifying glass for Sherlock Holmes. That's also a great show. So for all the evidence you have for the crime is that both angles are 110 degrees. That's all the evidence you have. The other piece of evidence you have is that it totals 360. So what could you do with the information you found already with the total you have up there? What could you do? Lawrence? Yes, perfect. You take 360 minus, Sarah was so helpful in telling us this number, 220. What would you get? Natalie? Right, you're gonna get 140. And that is A and C, right? Okay, okay. So what else do we have to do? So that we can put A and C together. How do we get 140 even smaller? Because you gotta get one for 8. It's like you gotta split this evidence, you gotta split this up. Like you got some more evidence for your crime, but now you need to go more precise, more detail into the crime. So instead of taking the whole thing, you split it up. How do you split it up, Raylan?
Dividing
By
2.
Yes, good job, Raylan. You divide 140 by 2. Which gets you, well, yeah, I'm gonna get you a deduction. Talking too much. Remember, if I want the class to say something, I will say class. 140 divided by 2 is, looking for strong silent hands. Someone to be our final crime detective. You're right, you got it?
No.
Okay. Lawrence?
7.
Correct.
Wait, well, where did you get the 220 from?
What's 110 plus 110?
Oh.
Right. So this is 70 degrees, and C would be 70 degrees. Hi, Demian. All right, Madison, I'm going to open up the chat. Type your question in. Question in there, hon. It's open. You may type your question. All right. Any questions? How we got that? Ready to see if we did everything right? All right. Non-adjacent angles like A, B, and D have equal measures. So B equals 110. So that means anything that's non-adjacent. Adjacent means Braylon to me. He's on my side. Or this wall is adjacent to me. So if someone's like, Amaya's adjacent to the water fountain, that means she's right next to the water fountain. So adjacent angles are supplementary when both A and C are adjacent to D. So A is 70 and C is 70. Good job, we got it. Aren't we off of school for the rest of the week starting tomorrow? Did you read the announcement, Madison? Yeah, you're off tomorrow and Friday. And Monday. And Tuesday. But I'm talking about this week. Goodness gracious, people. Seems like you only know when we don't have school. Any questions on this? You gotta be a little bit of detective. It's not gonna be right in your face. You gotta find the missing angles, add what you got together, and subtract from the total. All right. So no questions, which means it's time for our exit ticket. So people online, make sure you're doing the exit ticket, lesson 61, and then working on your assignment. Any questions? Just hit the raise your hand button. I'm going to stop recording because my hair looks awful.